Okay, so here I just opened up a new Maya scene, and I'm going to go ahead and show you just what we're going to do with how to do camera layout. The rough version, pretty simple. You just want to create a sphere, and this is just working with basic shapes. It's super simple. Right now we don't have any models, and so we're just going to use shapes. Right now I'm going to build up the brick wall that's going to sit behind the bench in the scene, and I'll just make a ground plane. And this is about how big the scene's going to be, and we'll figure it out as far as spacing and everything, the units. But we want pretty much the entire scene just to stay on this grid. It will make things pretty simple for both the modeler and the layout. Right now I'm just making the bench, just pretty simple cubes, just deforming them to fit whatever space needs to fit the environment. Like I said, it's super rough, and so you really don't have to be exact with anything. You just kind of want to see how it's going to look during the movie. And so right now I'm just creating the scene, and pretty simple. Once we get all the models here in 2 weeks, we'll have all of them. We'll go ahead and replace the current objects in the scene. All these simplified shapes, we'll go ahead and substitute them. Right here I'm just grouping the bench and the brick wall. I just hit Control G or Command G if you're on a Mac, and just resizing that brick wall so that we won't have any troubles with the camera angles. It might even have to be a little bit bigger. And so, as far as scene placement, this looks like it's working well. Now we're gonna see if we can't create our main character. It doesn't really matter how big things are when you create them. You just scale them down once you get the groups scaled right. And you could use the Lego man if you still have that model, or do whatever you need to get it to look like some type of a human. And this model should be done, Larry should be done by July 8th, and so we won't really have to mess with this guy. We'll probably be messing with the actual character. He won't be rigged, however, for a few more weeks, and so we'll just have to create a super simple rig, probably, just so you can move around the scene. It's pretty simple to do that. It only takes about 10 minutes to create a simple rig and for what we need him to do. Now I'm just scaling him down to fit into the environment. What I did there was I just hit W to move, and then if you hold V and the middle mouse button, you can actually, wherever your camera is, as soon as you click middle mouse button and move just a little bit with the mouse, it will actually snap to that point wherever the center of your camera is, so that's kind of nice. And you can snap it to points. Right now what I'm doing, I'm just trying to make them sit down, just creating a little lattice. And here I forgot to I need to make the lattice more division, or give the lattice more divisions so that it will actually bend. So now I'm going to select the lattice, make sure you're on the lattice and not the object, and now I'm just going to smooth, and I'm just going to bend the legs, put him down as if he's sitting. That looks alright. Like I said, it's pretty rough. You don't have to spend too much time doing this. So now I've grouped all of those objects. I'm actually going to have to regroup them later. And then I've just named here in the outliner, which is on the left, it's the third hotkey down, the one with the little menu on the side. Now, one thing about lattices, you just have to delete them, so you just duplicate the geometry. So just hit Command D or Control D. Okay, so sorry about that. So you just want to select the model, not the lattice. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete duplicate, and then I'm going to delete the model with the lattice. Otherwise, the lattice, it'll screw everything up. So anyways, you may or may not have to do this depending on the models that we have, but they're just kind of, if you didn't know them, it might be nice to know. So now we have Larry sitting on the bench in our environment, and now we'll go ahead and create the pigeon. And so, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but we'll just kind of wing it. No pun intended. Okay, so yeah, I guess I should make a sphere instead. The cube it's not the best for sculpting with. If you know anything about modeling, you just want, pretty basic shapes, and then you can sculpt in detail. Right now, we just want the basic shape where we can, make it look okay, at least. Make it look like something. So I'm just kind of messing with this right now, just kind of getting with the soft select, which is B is the hotkey for soft select. So it's pretty simple. On here. Okay, so now the brush size is huge, so I'm just gonna make this lower. And every time you see me doing that, the little hotkey, I'm just hitting shift and right click, and it makes things go a lot faster as far as modeling and goes. That's kind of a quick menu. If you hit spacebar, you'll have all the menu things also for whatever you have. Up top you see it says animation. If you change that to polygons or whatever menu you want, when you hit spacebar, you'll have pretty easy access to all the hotkeys. So now I'm just trying to get the pigeon looking right. Maybe we should make it a monster pigeon. But yeah, okay, so yeah, like I said, just super simple shapes. One thing with camera layout, really you're just focused on where's the camera going, and so you're going to want to translate the 2D storyboards to 3D space. And if you can visualize that, it's obviously a good asset to have. If you can see that with your eye, taking that 2D image, that drawing, and I'll show you the camera here in a second. Right now I'm just extruding the actual leg, and I need to change this to camera-based selection. That way I can just select the faces that I want to extrude just for the pigeon feet And you don't really have to do this. This is probably overkill. But I'll go ahead and, I need to go to orthographic here. I'm just going to select this bottom faces and extrude this. And the orthographic camera is facing me, and so I'm going to have to rotate this anyways. I'm going to go ahead and go back to perspective and extrude it. I'm just going to shift right click object mode. I'm just going to duplicate. Well, I should rotate it first. So I'll go ahead and rotate this. Okay, something like that, and then I'm going to duplicate it, put the other leg over there, and then we'll try to give him some sort of tail, so I'll shift right click, extrude face, and your menus are different when you shift right click. It's going to be different every time, no matter, whatever you have. If you have faces selected, so it'll be one thing. If you have vertices selected, that'll be a different thing, different menus. So pretty simple with modeling. We'll just give him a little tail. Alright, so now we have our pigeon. We're going to go ahead and select him, and going to want him to fit into his environment, so we're going to group it, Control G or Command G if you're on Mac, and center pivot. I just have a hotkey for that on my custom shelf, and zoom in to like frame something. Just hit F and you'll frame in on the object, and that's an easy way to navigate around Maya space. It's a lot faster than trying to find the object. Okay, now I'll just put the pigeon over here. Depending on where he is in that first shot, he's probably not going to be in for a few seconds, but we'll just throw him down here for now. And it's pretty important just to be organized with the outliner, so we'll just go ahead and name him Pigeon. And keep the outliner open, because that's where you're going to select most of your models. Once you get all the models in the scene placed where they should go, you just kind of have to keep track. And we only have like 15 assets, at most, to keep track of, which isn't bad at all. And since our scene is going to be pretty light, instead of referencing things in, I think we'll just go ahead and import them, create our scene, and it's going to be pretty easy to mess with the things that we have, at least for right now. If we need to mess with the reference editor later on, we can. So right now I've just created a camera. I have clicked on panels, look through selected, and I'm looking through the camera. And now I want to set a keyframe for the camera. That didn't work. Okay, when you select a keyframe, you actually need to select the camera. I accidentally selected the head. So let's go to it's not showing. It's not. I only have objects selected. So I'll just clear it. There's my camera. So now my camera's selected. And I'm going to set a keyframe for the camera wherever I want it to be. And so we select the camera. We'll select the keyframe, which is hotkey is S. Now I'm going to go look through selected through the camera. If I move it and I'm still selected on frame 1, then that's wherever I'm going to be, because I have auto key on. Now if I select frame 24 and I rotate it, now it automatically puts a keyframe, and I get some camera movement from 1 to 24. So Once again, pretty simple. If you edit frame 24, your camera's going to move accordingly. Now whatever this number is right here, you're going to, let's make it 10 seconds, which is 200 at 24 frames per second, 240 frames. You just double click the little gray bar, and now it shows up all your your 240 frames down at the bottom and the range slider. Okay, now this is keyframe. We're going to turn off auto keyframe just because it makes things, it gives you a little bit more control. So as you can see, that it's kind of choppy. It has to go in what is it, frame 23 to 26. In 3 frames it has to go a crazy big movement, so let's just delete that keyframe. Just right click on the red line, click delete. Now if I hit shift and middle click and drag, I can actually select or move these red things with these arrows. I can scale it and move it, and that does take a little bit of getting used to. Now let's say I have a keyframe set at frame 0, and I've gone to frame 44, and then I've hit S to set the keyframe. Okay, so I accidentally moved the camera. We want to go back. Now we have to move to get on the frame first that we want to move to. Then we move the camera, and we're looking through the camera right now. And then we hit S to set a keyframe, and now it's doing all of our movements for us. So this is pretty much what layout is. You're just moving the camera around the 3D space. So you're going to be looking at each frame of the storyboard, and you're going to be translating that space into Maya so that you can move around the space. Now I just open up the attribute editor. Let's change this to camera 1. You can have multiple cameras for different shots. The shots will be split up, and these are just all the attributes of the camera. Focal length 35, that's human vision. That means that there's not going to be any distortion. And all these you can just keep the same for now. If we want to mess with a different camera type, these are exactly like when you mess with actual film. We're going to set it to user. If it's set to user, it's whatever you have in the render settings under common. And the presets, we're going to be filming in HD in 720p, so we'll just set it to that. So right now the settings are 1280 by 720, and if we click on this little blue circle, it gives us our resolution gate. So this is what the aspect ratio will be for the film. If we change it, it's just going to be different. Okay, our aperture, we're going to leave that for now. Aperture is how much light you're letting into the camera, and then the aspect ratio will give us a little bit different resolution gate. Let's see. So 1.5 is what we have right now, and we'll mess with all this later. For now, what we want is we just want to get rough layout. How's it going to look in the scene? What kind of backgrounds are we going to have to paint? Depth of field, we're going to mess with that later. That's one of the last things you'll do just to see what you want in focus. Just make sure you set the camera to renderable. Background color is black, that's fine. And then these are just a bunch of more options that right now we're not going to mess with. Later on we'll definitely mess with that stuff. Yeah, this is pretty much how layout works. I mean, it's pretty simple. Once you know the camera, once you have the storyboards in front of you, you're just gonna move the camera around space, and that's pretty much all I know. Obviously, it goes way more in depth, but this is as simple as it gets. We can even, shift middle mouse click, and we can drag this using the yellow arrow, and it's going to move. So in a storyboard, if we set all the keyframes and we want the camera to move slower, we'll just drag that out. Obviously we're going to have quite a few fast shots since it's only going to be 30 seconds total. And then if I click the play button and right click, and I can hit play blast, it's actually going to create a QuickTime movie. And I stop. Oops. There's the movie. So if I hit, let's stop it. Okay. If I go to my movie, just hit play. When you have animation actually going, play blast is kind of nice. So we just want to get the camera layout so the animation team can kind of get going on that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, just shoot me an email. Alright.